I think when you look at Nebraska last week, they took a big step forward in their scrimmage, and it started with the play at the quarterback. And I think Matt Rule has done his best to kind of downplay and temper things. But we have seen enough, heard enough, talked to enough people. Dylan Raiola was at another level in the scrimmage, connected on a 70, 80-yard touchdown pass to Jalen Lloyd on a scramble, on a rope into coverage, dropped the ball in a bucket down the field, finds Isaiah Nayor on a broken play, shovel pass on 4th and 5 that goes for a touchdown. He was the quarterback that was backed up on the 1-yard line.
He was.
And went 99 yards.
God, why was that such a hard thing to discern?
I don't know. I mean, they're doing their best Babe in the Woods on this, Steve Sipple.
They might have been.
As you would.
There might have been some Babe in the Woods here.
It seems like something that you would remember as a coach. The guy leads a 99-yard touchdown drive in one of your biggest scrimmages of the spring. But who knows? Maybe he wasn't honest. He just legitimately forgot.
But we've confirmed it through our own channels that it was Raiola. So he had a huge scrimmage. The offense, the top 2 units did not turn it over. That's another notable thing. So,
God, yes.
We'll get to see this all live for the very first time in Memorial Stadium this spring.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to pour cold water on all this. I mean, I'm not going to, but you got to mention that these guys were in green jerseys. The quarterbacks are in green jerseys, no hands off green jerseys. So plays get extended. But yeah, it is. We didn't see it. So a lot of this is fueled by our imagination, but it does feel like Dylan did take a pretty big step. It does feel like he would be the guy right now. And it seems like Heinrich Haarberg, 5-3 last year as a starter, would be maybe the number 2 guy. I think they all have played all 3 scholarship quarterbacks it seems like they've played pretty well this spring. Again, we're just operating basically on what we hear. But yeah, I mean, 80-yard pass is an 80-yard pass. That Mahomes-like shovel pass was an eye popper, from what people tell me. Like, whoa, it was a whoa play, 4th and 5 touchdown. So yeah, pretty good picture.
Seems like a day we've been waiting on for Raiola. Like everybody's kind of wanting that picture to come together for him to assert himself as that clear number 1, and still plenty of work to do. But a day like that goes a long way in kind of reaffirming all these hopes people had in him and what he could be and what this offense could be with a player of that caliber running the show. So that's just the start. You know, like you said, he's not getting hit. Things change when the bullets are for real. Yeah. But for what he's been thrown, what has been thrown at him so far, you got to like what you're hearing.
You just wonder, if you're Matt Rule, if it's so obvious on Saturday to everyone, how do you go about the next step, which is naming a starter? I mean, do you sandbag this all the way into August, or when we're sitting in Indianapolis after a night's meal at El Toro Mexican restaurant, do we know that Dylan Raiola is the starter as camp opens?
Well, here's the deal. Matt Rule he's addressed that. He has said he likes it, a competition where one guy jumps out in front and then another guy kind of tries to catch up and maybe does catch up. And then the competition just keeps going. And he wants to see how they respond when things don't go well, when they're pressed. And that is huge. I mean, it is huge because there's going to be times in the fall, in the autumn, when it's a freak show, when it feels, and I've said it on our shows before, but it's always struck me, that position, it can feel literally like the world is collapsing around you on Saturday. And how do they respond? So if I were a coach, I would make it damn difficult every day, very difficult, because that's what you're going to be dealing with.
Well, and how do you simulate adversity when you're not getting it on the field? You know, at least to the level of a real football game, when you're not getting hit, knocked around, and, you know, beat up. You got to find ways to put guys in tough situations. I think creating, even if it's an illusion of competition, that you're not saying you're our starter, you're the guy. Take the rest of the summer off. You know, you're fine. Competition's over.
I'm not comfortable with that.
No. And so I think that even if like everybody knows what the deal is, you don't come out and say it. Like, why announce that? What good does that do anybody? I think you create that competition to where if a guy has a bad day and somebody else has a good day, it's going to be in the back of his mind. That's at least some way you can create adversity and force them to have to respond better the next day.
I agree with you. I would play devil's advocate I mean, there's probably advantages to naming a guy. You just start, then maybe you start gearing your mindset a little more towards UTEP. You know,
but can you do that without saying Raiola is our quarterback? He's our guy.
You risk
there's really no reason to do it.
You risk the transfer portal.
Yeah, that's another
point. Like, I mean, go back to Adrian Martinez as a true freshman.
Yeah.
And we were led to believe it was a pretty neck and neck battle at that time with Tristan Gebbia. And, you know, instead of pulling the Jim Harbaugh, how he played 2 quarterbacks, 2 games each to start the year because they knew they could get away with it, to keep them all on the roster for that one season, Frost went all in on Martinez.
It's a Sunday morning, right? It was a Sunday
and they
morning.
named him the starter.
Yeah.
And it's Akron week. And you just thought, okay. And then all of a sudden, Gebbia goes in the portal
that day.
And
or maybe the next
I remember
day.
At the press conference on Monday.
Was there a portal then?
The portal didn't officially start until October 15th of 2018.
But he's transferred.
And
I mean,
he transferred, but the actual portal didn't actually form until Greg Bell went in. Greg Bell was one of the first players in college football to go in the transfer portal.
Really?
That was a freak show, by the way. Robin and I are sitting in Lincoln Airport getting ready to go to Madison.
Oh, yeah. We were on the plane.
And Greg Bell, like, just leaves the team.
That's right.
Before the team leaves for Madison.
Yeah. So, no, that's a good reason maybe not to announce anything. I just want to be clear. I agree with not naming the starter. I could see doing it at the end of spring. It wouldn't. I just don't know why you would.
Yeah, you can do all the things you need to do to prepare with the structure of quarterbacks you have in place, while also not making it this formal announcement to where the public is starting. All right, he's our starter, and then everybody else is like, well, what do I do now? You know, in that room. I think at least if you just keep it open, even if internally everybody knows what the deal is, there's still value in it.
I mean, make him fight for
it.
And then he can get better.
When he has bad days, he knows that he hasn't been crowned anything.
Right.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see the reps, how the teams are kind of broken apart, and how the games played. We know the quarterbacks won't be live. This won't be like past spring games, but kind of how they divvy up things and what they show. We know it's going to be vanilla.
Would you make them live at all?
I don't think so.
What about Harvard?
You wouldn't?
Again, I don't think so. I just, from what we've seen and heard this year, they've not done it all year. Why would you do it in the spring game at that point?
Yeah.
Especially with the numbers. You only got 3 scholarship guys.
Just raising the question.
It's more, I mean, the spring game is the 15th practice, but let's be honest what it is. It's more of a celebration of what it means to be a Nebraska fan. 60,000 plus people possibly getting together on a great Saturday in Memorial Stadium, showcasing things a little bit here and there, but I don't expect them to say, all right, we're going to go live. Now, a year ago, they did go live.
They did. That's the thing.
But they had 6 scholarship quarterbacks.
Right.
And Casey and Logan were unavailable in the spring.
Right. They did go live, and they fumbled it a bunch of times.
They did.
You don't want to see that. I think they fumbled it 8 times last year. And we all kind of were like, including me, like, it's just a scrimmage, no big deal.
Turns out.
Yeah, you don't want to see that. You do not want to see that again.